We went into the movie Venom with quite a few questions and concerns. Namely, how can you have Venom without Spider-Man? And will the movie be able to stand on its own since it's not part of the MCU? Thankfully, these things didn't detract from the movie, but the mid-credit scene was one many fans found puzzling. Luckily, we'll explain what went down once the action wrapped up. But before we get into the ending of Venom, be warned, there'll definitely be spoilers. Also, if you have a moment, subscribe to CBR and ring that bell to join our notification squad so you never miss any of our MCU-related videos. Without further ado, let's get started! At the end of Venom, things got wrapped up pretty neatly. Carlton Drake and the alien symbiote Riot were burnt to a crisp before their spaceship could head into outer space to get more symbiotes. We saw Eddie Brock talking about getting his career back off the ground and having a pleasant chat with his ex-fiancée Anne Weying. Best of all, we learned that Venom is still alive and well, despite being so close to a fire. Eddie and Venom are learning how to coexist with one another, and Venom is learning the right time to eat people. Yep, everything was looking terrific in San Francisco when the credits started to roll. But all superhero movie fans know this doesn't mean it's time to leave the theater just yet. Of course, Venom didn't disappoint with this shocking scene. If you rushed off to throw away your popcorn bag, you missed out on a truly epic moment. We see Eddie Brock ready to report with his handy-dandy notebook, but what could he be covering? A guard talks about the FBI taking in a dangerous prisoner who wants to talk to Brock. It turns out that when Eddie bragged to Anne about scoring a cool new job interview, he wasn't just trying to impress her. The prisoner he ends up talking to is played by none other than Woody Harrelson. He's portraying a character whose name will be very familiar to comic book fans. Cletus Cassidy. He's stuck in a maximum security cell in San Quentin prison, wrapped up in a straitjacket and scrawling messages on the wall in his own blood. Cletus greets Eddie and suggests they quit the serial killer tropes and talk about what'll happen when he gets out of prison. He makes his eventual escape sound inevitable and adds that once he's free, there's going to be no small amount of carnage. Even if you're not a comic book fan, you likely guessed that this was the studio's way of setting up the sequel to Venom. In the comics, Cletus Cassidy is a serial killer who meets Eddie Brock in prison. Before Eddie and Venom could escape, Venom gave birth to a brand new symbiote. If you're wondering how this could happen, just remember that Venom is an alien life form who can reproduce asexually. Eddie doesn't realize what's going on, so the symbiote gets left behind and ends up attaching to Cletus. Having a baby on an alien planet is pretty complicated and caused Venom's offspring to be a little messed up in the head, or in whatever part of them is responsible for the thinking stuff. Its disposition was definitely not improved by fusing with a homicidal psychopath like Cletus, and thus the villain known as Carnage was born. Now, we love Venom, but he's a pretty strange character by human standards. When the good guy symbiote wants to make piles of heads and bodies in Eddie's apartment, you can just imagine what kind of mischief an evil symbiote can get up to. In addition to being outright insane, Carnage is incredibly strong and uses many of the abilities we saw Riot utilizing in the movie. He can turn himself into weapons, hurl spikes around, and is generally just about impossible to take down. In the comics, Venom resorts to getting help from Spider-Man to defeat Carnage, and even then it's a pretty close call. Since Venom doesn't take place within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, we're guessing Venom and Eddie Brock are going to have to face him alone. Well, as alone as either of them can ever be, we suppose. In the beginning of the movie, we learned that 4 of these alien symbiotes made it to Earth. One is Venom, another is Riot, and 2 of them perished before they could find a proper host. By the end of the movie, only Venom remains, which means Carnage must come from him, just like in the comic books. It's possible that instead of being incarcerated alongside Cletus, Eddie will simply get close enough with him during his interview to spread the new symbiote. Before he got to Cletus, Eddie did tell Venom to be quiet, and he actually listened to him for once. Maybe he was preoccupied with producing another symbiote. The Venom sequel hasn't been officially announced yet, but we can't see this movie not having one. Woody Harrelson himself seemed to confirm that it'll be happening at some point during an interview. Fans wondered for some time what role he'd be playing in the movie, and Harrelson confirmed he only has a small part to play for now. He stated, "I'm in a little fraction of this movie, but I'll be in the next one." Based on this mid-credits scene, it seems as if we can expect to see Venom facing off against Carnage, who will be portrayed by Woody Harrelson. In addition to this mid-credits scene, there was an excellent post-credits scene as well. Sure, we didn't get to see any Spider-Man in the movie, but this scene more than made up for it. It took us inside the upcoming Spider-Man into the Spider-Verse. The Spider-Verse is something comic fans are very familiar with, and we couldn't be more excited to see it on the big screen. We get to see other alternate universe versions of Spider-Man, including Miles Morales and Spider-Woman Gwen Stacy. It also looks like we'll be getting to see Spider-Man Noir, who wears a costume you might recognize as the one Tom Holland was spotted wearing in Spider-Man Far From Home. These Spider people and more end up in the universe of Miles, and it's up to them to save the day and get back to their own worlds. This movie won't be connected to either the MCU or the world of Venom, but that doesn't mean we aren't incredibly excited to see it the instant it gets released. The mid-credit scene and post-credit scenes were certainly something. What do you think about the additional scenes at the end of Venom? Are you excited to see Carnage in Venom 2? Let us know in the comments section below, and don't forget to subscribe to CBR for more MCU content. Thanks for watching.